Hey there, I'm Alan Mathews again, and congratulations because you have made it through a whole bunch of videos getting to this point on learning a piece and going through all the different steps. If you're just landing at this video, go back to the front of the line, no breaking in line, go back and start over this series and go from the beginning, and then you'll know what we're talking about here. So we have done a bunch of stuff. We have broken the piece into small sections, manageable sections. We have looked at all the notes and the musical markings. We have looked at the rhythm. We have looked at the dynamics, though you could put that at the end if you'd like to. We have done the right hand by itself. We've done the left hand by itself. We've done the hands together, but really going slow and making sure that everything is absolutely synced up perfectly. And now we get to do it. We get to actually start bringing this up to speed and working with the metronome, things like that. And so how are we going to do this? Well, the first thing to do is to promise yourself that you won't go faster until you can do it while keeping the right hand fingering and the left hand fingering all worked out exactly as you planned it. And so you don't want to go fast and sacrifice all the good work that you've already done. Like if you're going to do that, then you might as well skip this entire thing and just hack right through it from the beginning. If you're just going to do it that way, then why even bother doing all of this? But if you want to do it right, you want to actually get it up to a really high artistic level and grow your playing so that you're really moving forward in your playing and playing much more beautifully, then that's the thing to do. Make sure that the hands stay doing the exact same things that you want them to do. So now that we've done that and we're back at rhythm, then we can put the metronome. I've got my pro metronome. I've done a lot of, I'm not going to explain how to use a metronome here, but I've explained it in ridiculous depth in other places. So there will be a link below. You can look at that. And what we're going to do is we're just going to set a really slow metronome here. This is 48. Let's actually speed that up. And we'll just go every 2 clicks for each note. So one note gets 2 clicks. So to do this, we've got our full score back up now. We can just be working from the full thing or from the different sections, either one you want, the separate sections. And we're just going to play this one note per every 2 using the right fingering. Ready? And 1 and 2. Notice how slow this is. Chances are you could play it slower. I mean, you could play it faster. Chances are you could play it faster, but the main thing that you want to do is be able to do it really steady with the metronome. You can always get faster, it's fine. You just want to build on success. So make it really slow, and you can have 2 clicks per if you want like that, but the main thing is that you keep the successes rolling. 1 and 2 and 3, on, and then we could speed it up a bit. 1 and 2 and if you've been doing the dynamics already, then do it here. Absolutely. If you're doing the dynamics and you did it at that point earlier, then do it every single time with the dynamics. Never play it flat. If you went at the rhythm stage and added in your dynamics and all of your swells and fades and what note got loud and what note and all that kind of stuff, do it that way every single time. Like, don't play boring if you don't have to. Ready? And 1 and you just do it over and over. But make sure that you are solid as a rock. And then we can speed it up some more and some more and some more until finally it gets to be going fast. And then at that point, 1 and at that point, somewhere around 120, you can break it in half, go back down to 60, split it, and then just play 1 per click. And you can just stop doing the every other click and just go for each click and then start speeding it up from there. But always with the dynamics, always with the right hand, left hand fingers being exactly as you want them to. Great, so that's working it up with the metronome. And then you can just keep pumping it up and pumping it up. In a perfect world, if you're going to perform for other people, you have some headroom, right? So if you're going out on the highway you don't want to be at the absolute max that your car can drive, because that way if you need to pass somebody or if anything happens, you have no headroom. Same thing in front when you're playing in front of people. And you might be at a point in your playing where you don't want to play in front of people, or you might not, but still you want to train as if you are anyway, because that's the way to get good, is to actually consider these things. And so what you do then is you actually give yourself some headroom. So if you really want to play this at about 100, then bump it up to 120 and get it all the way up to 120. That way, whenever you play it at 100, it'll be easy. That's really nice. It's really nice to be able to be operating at a zone that's really easy for you to do. If you're playing at your absolute limit, your breakneck limit in front of people, if anything goes wrong, you're done for. It's going to be really hard to correct from that. But if you're able to play faster, but then something happens, your mind is used to thinking faster, chances are you'll be able to recover much, much better. And you'll just be also more confident going in front of people. So always try to have 10 or 20% in the bag before actually performing for people. Now, what is next? Now we actually have to string these little sections together, right? So we had these different sections. So we've been playing with little bitty sections, and we want to combine the sections so that it flows smoothly from one section to the next, right? So we want to look at how they join. So here's our first section right here, right? To right there. And then our next section goes to right there. So these are our two sections. These are our first two sections, right? Well, what we want to do then is actually look at the way that they join up. Somewhere in there. The first few notes of the second section, the last few notes of the previous section, and how do they join? And so what you can do is just look at it and just play a couple of those. This is just pulling back from it, and play just the last couple of notes and the first couple of notes. After you've done that, you can go back and look at the entire section. And so then you play the two sections right next to each other. And then just right into the second section. Always with the right fingering, of course. Great, and you just do that a few times. Do it a handful of times, just those two sections. Well, then you offset it and play the second and third section together. And then you play the third and fourth, and then the fourth and fifth. And you actually just go through the piece. It won't take you more than a time or two doing this. And actually put the sections together so that you're playing each two next to each other. And if there's anything, this is where you really look for red flags. If there's anything that really pokes out, any hard spot or anything like that, or anyone that you're really challenged with, or you can also be really aware of what goes on in your mind. If there's any point that you get really confused whenever you're joining two sections together, then stop everything, really hone in on the last couple of notes of the one section and the first couple of notes. You could even just do two notes. The last note of the previous section, the first note, just do those two. Then add a note on each side, then a note on each side, then a note on each side, and basically build it from the center out. And then it'll be much easier to do it. And then you go through the sections just like that. So that is a bunch of stuff that we've just done, isn't it? It's a lot of work that we've just done through this whole series of videos and through these steps. And so you might be thinking, well, that seems like a lot of work for this one little piece, and it is. However, you're gonna do the work anyway. If you're playing and you're not doing all this, then it's not gonna be ever as good as if you do this. So if you want to actually get your playing better, then just really embrace each of these steps as its own thing. If you really are worried about playing the piece itself, if you're worried about, if you're really focused on the end product, then the process itself will break down. And it's called end gaining is one way to say it. It's really kind of the ends justifies the means, but it doesn't exactly in this, because music is all process. Like, you can't play beautiful piece. You have to play a beautiful note, and then you have to join it to another beautiful note. and you have to join it beautifully. And then you do that over and over and over, and all of a sudden you have played a piece. But you can't just play a piece. You have to play the notes, one note at a time. And the way to do that is to really focus in and do exactly this process that we've just done. Sure, there are other ways of learning pieces that are great as well. This one really works, and it really brings to your attention all the little spots in music. And chances are, if you really are diligent and you go through this with a lot of integrity and just embrace each step as if it were the end-all be-all, where the whole piece was nothing but a right hand exercise, and it only existed of that section. If you can just suspend your need to play the entire piece and hear what it sounds like, because you know what it sounds like, then you can get better so much faster, and you'll just play so much beautifuler, and it will be so much more enjoyable in your practice as you do it, because it will be working on process. And process, that's where the jewels are. That is where it is at, is really focusing in on each step of the process, and really, just like a master craftsman, every cut is important. Every little file, every plane, just like a fine artist, everything is important and everything is worth it. It is the end product. So that's my take on it anyway. I hope this has been a very helpful series for you. If you have any problems or any questions, please feel free to contact me. Drop me a line any way you like. Go over to classicalguitarshed.com and subscribe and find tons of other stuff like this there. And subscribe to this station, of course, this YouTube channel. Thank you so much for watching. Download everything and the PDFs of all this stuff down at the bottom. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care.